street food. What's up, street foodies? Welcome to season 6 viewer mail. I was a little worried I wasn't gonna have any questions, but you guys came through. I am psyched to get all up into these questions, and if you stick around to the end, I'm gonna give you a little preview of what's to come in season 6. Jaws McMurphy asks, Dear Street Food, a couple episodes back, I saw you had a box set of Friday Night Lights in the background. Shout out Friday Night Lights, that show was awesome. So I was wondering if you have any Chinese TV shows you like to watch, and what American shows are you currently watching? I'm just going to answer half of that with the Chinese shows I like to watch. None. I don't like Chinese TV. Chinese TV annoys me, actually, but I watch it to improve my language. Rather, I'm supposed to. I'm not really into Chinese TV. Squidney Sager asks, Dear Street Food, what's your most favorite or memorable Chinese pancake food? Because I've recently been back here in the States and I keep getting cravings for some more. P.S. I love all your videos. Thank you, Squidney Sager. My favorite Chinese pancake snack. Pancake is what they usually say when they're talking about like a flat bread, and it's got to be jianbingguozi. I come back to it all the time. It's awesome. There's so many variations of it. I definitely like it with potatoes. If you want to see my favorite jianbingguozi, you can check out Street Food Supplements that I did right between season 5 and 6, and you can see where my favorite one is or was. That guy hadn't been there in a long time, and it's sad again. I'm a Kappa asks, Dear Street Food, do your kids like Chinese food? Or what do they usually eat? That's a great question. I got one daughter who will eat anything, and she loves Chinese food. She prefers Chinese food. I have one who's much more picky, and she loves rice, thankfully, because there's lots of that. Here and there, throughout the seasons of Street Food, I've addressed how we try to deal with feeding our kids when we're eating on the street. It's not always the easiest thing. We try our best to show them as much grace as we can. We make a lot of cheese sandwiches and that kind of thing. Gabos Iron Fist asks, Dear Street Food, where is the sewer oil episode, LOL? Here's the thing, I can't really do an episode about sewer oil. You know, what am I going to do? I'm going to walk up to a vendor and say, hey, did you cook this with dirty oil? That's a mistake. You don't want to do that. I could ask them that, but I don't think that... Look, that's not what this show is about. Is this about hard-hitting journalism? No. Okay? I'm not trying to get kicked out of this country. I'm just trying to enjoy the food in this country. Now, gutter oil, how much of a problem is it? It depends who you ask. It depends where you live. And, I mean, who really knows, right? Because who's being honest? In case you have no idea what I'm talking about, Gabos Iron Fist is bringing up what a lot of people have brought up, this story that was in the news about how some street vendors were using recycled oil that was, in some cases, gotten out of gutters that were also full of, you know, like sewage. How prevalent is that? Look, I don't know. And I'll tell you a deeper truth. I don't want to know. I like street food. I feel like that answer's a little unsatisfactory, and I'm sorry about that. Moving on. I had several rare food-related questions. First, we got Cake is a Lie, who asks, have you ever been to or seen one of the black markets for exotic foods? No, I've definitely never been to one. I couldn't afford it. They wouldn't let me in anyway because I'm a foreigner. I've heard of them. They definitely exist, but it's only for people with a lot of money. When we say black markets, I mean they're eating foods that are illegal to eat, usually like endangered species and stuff. There's all kinds of ideas out there, not just in China, but in other places, about how eating this kind of food will give you this kind of benefit. Synapsis asks, is the shark fin industry a common thing where we're located? It's not. We're not near an ocean, and shark fin soup is not a part of the Xian cuisine. When I was in Thailand, to be honest, I saw tons of shark fin soup in the Chinatown area. Most of it was probably fake, is what I was told. But around here, it's not a big deal. Tangerine Lemons wants to know if I've ever come across those fake eggs everyone was so scared of for a while, or were they just some kind of old wives' tale? I looked this up. I saw that in Chengdu, some people had reported about it. This is several years back. Here's what I'll say. Every egg that I buy in the store still has some chicken feathers on it from where it was shot out the chicken, if you know what I'm saying. That's a real egg. Okay? When it comes to eggs on the street, I can't know for sure, but as far as I know, they're all legit. Finally, in the sketchy food question department, we've got one from Luca Maggio Caccio, who says, what's my take on the pig brain controversy? Yeah, some people are talking about they put pig brains in the balsa meat and stuff. Here's the thing. Pig brains is a delicacy here. You gotta pay a lot for it. More than you would pay for like normal pork that they put in balsa. So I think that's mostly not true. But what do I know for sure? This isn't hard-hitting journalism. I eat snacks. Street foodie Hamilton Klein asked me about my process. What's my prep like for a season? How do I come up with episodes and stuff? I decided I'm going to make a kind of like a behind-the-scenes episode. of how I come up with ideas for the show, how I plan out my season and stuff like that, and I'm going to air that next week. I don't think it's going to be part of my actual Season 6 lineup, but I feel like it's a really good question, and I'm going to try to answer it in a little bit of longer form. So thank you, Hamilton Klein. I'm going to warm up my throat. Devin Penny asks, when ordering from a new street vendor, or if you're in a new area, do you usually watch a vendor prepare and order a few times before you order your food to make sure they're safe, or possibly to make sure they're not messing with your food? Love your show. Please keep up the great work. Thank you, Devin Penny. Look, I don't think the street vendors are messing with your food. If they get a reputation for messing with you, they're not going to sell a lot of street food. You know what I'm saying? So they're not going to intentionally mess with your food. Now, I will say this. I see people who don't pay a lot of attention and they'll like get eggshells in it. Or a lot of times they'll get maybe raw meat on their fingers, but then they'll touch other stuff that's not going to get cooked, like a piece of lettuce or something like that. It's just like basic hygiene stuff that can be an issue on the street, and I do pay attention to that, to be honest. If I see food being prepared that way, I probably won't go back to that vendor, or at least won't get that food. My homeboy, Chuck Ellis, asks, Dear Street Food, now that you've been in China for a while, what are some of the things you miss least about living in the States? Is there anything that you were surprised you don't miss at all? Things I don't miss from the States, in this order: political ads and the general political discourse. Don't miss it. Pop music. There's a few exceptions, but for the most part, I'm a hater. Number 3 is driving. And actually, I'm surprised about that one. I don't miss driving at all. I like not driving. I like taking the bus. I like walking. I like not paying for gas or car insurance. Good question, Chuck. The Doctor asks, Hey, Street Food, love the show. Thanks, The Doctor. I prefer more savory flavors with meat in Chinese dishes as opposed to sweet. Any advice for some dishes I could make here in the UK? It's a good question, and I agree. I much prefer savory flavors to sweet. Now, I don't cook a lot of Chinese food, to be honest, because I live in China. I can get much better Chinese food if I just go outside my door. But I do know how to make some Chinese stuff, and I'm going to be featuring a couple recipes later in this season. So, The Doctor, I hope that the remainder of Season 6 will be a partial answer to your question. Finally, So Far So Good 9 asks, Dear Street Food, what are some street foods that even the most indigenous Chinese won't eat? I gotta be honest, most of the Chinese people I know eat just about anything. Now, that's obviously a stereotype. Some people don't like certain types of food. Some people love meat, some people hate it. Some people love spice, some people hate it. And that, of course, you're going to find that in any culture. But for the most part, Chinese cuisine packs everything out. I don't think there is a food that, in general, the Chinese population doesn't eat. Alright, it's time for some quick shout-outs. I want to give my thanks to 2 fans in particular. One of them comments on literally every episode. He's a patron, and he's a friend of mine. His name is Chuck Ellis. If you want to know why I love Chuck, this is why. On my new Chinese language show, Chuck posted a comment that said something like, So, this is what it'll be like living in Obama's America. Now, I know Chuck, and I know he was saying that sarcastically, but not all of the internet knew that. So then, he got a little pushback. Somebody said, What's that supposed to mean? Now, at this point, Chuck has 2 choices. He can say, ha ha ha, just kidding, JK, winky face emoji, or he can double down. And that's what Chuck does. Chuck writes, It means America needs to wake up. That comment was followed by some more mild hate from other viewers, and you know, he never went back and cleared it up. Chuck, I respect you for that. Personally, I would have put the winky face. I don't want people thinking I'm an idiot. Shout out number 2 goes to another fan named David Atkinson. Now, David almost never comments on YouTube, but he shares my show on Facebook every time I put one out, without fail. If only one person shares it, it will be David. And I really appreciate that, okay? Because the only way this show is going to get more views is if you guys, my street foodies, share it. I've had a few people ask me, is there anything I can do to get more views, like rename my channel or tag the videos differently? I'm pretty much doing everything I can in that realm to get views. What I really rely on is word of mouth, you guys sharing it, so I really appreciate when you do that. Now, I have a patrons-only exclusive video, which is dropping right now on my channel, but here's a little preview for the rest of us. We've got some train snacks, so we're gonna talk train snacks now. We've got instant noodles. These are tea eggs. This is an egg, not a buffalo turkey. Straight up eating it on the street right now. This is our 13-quiet bus ride. So, we are now walking down the side of the road. you have to pay to get into Hongchuan. That was something that we did not know. It's still pretty much pitch black, and we are looking for a place to set up for the sunrise. Oh, that's enough of that. If you want to see more, visit patreon.com/streetfood. Now, I'm going to release that behind the scenes video next week. Then after that, I'm going to take 3 to 4 weeks off from Street Food so I can finish out my 太麻烦你了 Chinese language show. After that, Street Food will be back every Friday until we finish out season 6. As always, thank you for watching, and until we're back, keep eating it on the street, watching out for the parasite. Street Food. We've got Luca Maggio Caccio. That's what it is. Question from Luca Maggio Caccio. Maggio Caccio. No, Maggio Caccio.